Welcome to Game of Roses. Love is blind. This is Pacecase.
This is Bachelor Clues, and indeed, Lizzie and I have completed the marathon viewing experience of 6 episodes in the first drop of Love is Blind, Season 8, set in Minnesota.
Minneapolis, basically my second hometown.
Oh,
I was
congratulations.
extremely excited for this season and then extremely disappointed by most of what happened.
Okay, well, we're going to get to that. I mean, I was too. Let's start here. Let's start with
Yeah.
this. It was a 6 episode drop, okay? All 6 episodes were in the pods. We never left. Let me give you some historical context. This season, by
Give
the
me
way,
it.
is at least on the Netflix UI, they list it as having 13 episodes this season. Okay, that is
I
it's a little light, honestly,
I
in
was
terms of
wondering, I was
historical
like,
accounts.
are they like doing a longer order for this season or
No,
something? Like
shorter,
the pacing was so slow.
shorter order.
So they just got
Season
nothing.
1 had 14 episodes. Season 2 had 14. Season 3 had 15. Season 4, the Behemoth, had 16 episodes. That was the one that ended in disaster
Dang.
with the finale that was supposed to be live, and they couldn't get their shit together, and it didn't air that night and all that. Then season 5 had 11 episodes, and then every season after that, 6, 7, and now 8 are going to have 13. So I would say that they're somewhere in the middle, roughly.
Hmm.
Generally speaking, however, getting out of the pods happens much quicker. Not even generally speaking, literally in every case. In season 1, they were on the honeymoon in episode 3. On season 2, it was episode 3. Season 3 was episode 3. Season 4 was episode 4, starting to climb up. Season 5, episode 5. Season 6, episode 6, episode 5, sorry. Season 7, episode 5. Season 8 is not going to the honeymoon phase until episode 7. It was a full 6 episodes of nothing but pods. I would argue that episode 5 was complete filler, and even
Yes.
really episode
Agreed.
4. What's that?
Completely agreed. It was very confusing. I'm like, okay, so they just have nothing for the rest of the season. Like this is what they're showing us.
Yeah.
Um,
And they spent so much time on these love triangles. And I read an article
yes.
with Chris Colin, the executive producer of the show, creator of the show, CEO of Kinetic Content, where he was essentially saying, we were just following the stories where they went. Well, if the only stories you got to follow, because he said we shoot the whole season. Obviously, this was shot a year ago, literally before the 2020 or the 2024 election. So when you hear some of these political conversations, also, you have to keep in mind, this happened before the last election. All of this was shot. That said, Chris Colin said, we would like to follow the stories where they go. So that gave us the Mason, Madison, Meg
Madison,
love triangle.
Meg,
And none of those people are in the
Alex.
show anymore. And Alex, yeah. They're all gone. Who fucking
I
cares? Why
can't
follow
believe
that
it.
at all?
I was like, they must do a coffee shop meetup if they're gonna force these. Like, why would you make these the main characters?
Maybe they do. Maybe they come back. I don't know. We have definitely obviously seen
I
that
hope
happen
so.
in different versions of this show. But they didn't even successfully get a notch down. We'll get to that. It so far, to me, this season is the most boring one I've ever seen. It has some moments. There are moments that peek through that are
Hmm.
like insane. The way they ended episode 6, which we'll get to, absolutely fucking
Terrifying,
nuts.
horrifying.
Yeah, because there's only a few possible realities in terms of explaining what we see in that final scene. But
Hmm.
overall, this is so far to me the most lackluster season we have seen.
Totally agreed. And something, so basically I am spending all summers in Minneapolis now. And
Wow.
something that
Brag more.
it's a bi-coastal lifestyle in the north. And uh
Okay.
when I moved there, one of my main takeaways was I was like, holy shit, like there's so many white people.
Hmm.
And I actually looked this up for this because I was like, okay, they're only following like one non-white couple this season.
Hmm.
We have Minneapolis is 62% white, 18% black. Minnesota is 80% white, 7% black. LA, 28% white, 47% Hispanic. So it's more closely in line with the rest of the US, but for
Mhm.
me coming from LA, I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
it is a strange feeling.
It's like that when I visit
Um,
my parents in Oklahoma as well. It's like everyone's white, everybody appears to be about 65 years old, and everybody is
Everyone is
A,
65.
wearing camouflage, B, driving a truck, C, driving a camouflage truck.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Camouflage really, they love that. I
they
guess
do.
it's like army.
By the way,
It's like
speaking of they love that, in this watch back for me of these first 6 episodes, I coined a new love level. If you follow us on
I did notice this.
if you follow us on our Bachelor coverage, of course, there are 4 love levels. This is every love format plays these love levels, and there are variations of them, but the 4 core love levels are this. Love level 1, I like you. You give me butterflies. I'm having feelings for you. It's a generic pronouncement of some initial feeling is happening between you. And the format of a love level has to be I feel this way about you. That's the only thing that is acceptable. Love level 2 is I'm starting to
No, you can
fall.
say like I have butterflies.
Yeah, I have butterflies for you. That's implied, but you can't. We'll get to love level 0 and why it has to be that
I
format for
know. I
one, two,
have
three, or
some
four.
issues with love level 0, but
Okay. Well, we can
continue.
hash it out right now. But that's what love level 1 is. Love level 2 is I'm starting to fall for you or starting to fall in love with you. You are elevating beyond the initial like phase, and there is a beginning pattern of a higher degree of emotional connection. Love level 3 is I am falling for you or falling in love with you. You are in the active process of the love falling now. Love level 4, the final love level is I love you or I am in love with you or some variation of that. Now, what we came to see in a gigantic amount in this first 6 episodes was what I think is a love level 0, which is I love that. I love this. I love the way you speak, talk about aliens, whatever it may be. It's loving something or liking something, having some emotional reaction to something that is not the person. It could be one of their actions. It could be a place you visited. It could be any other thing. And it can even be generic. I love that. That to me,
It's
I
kind
love
of
that
like a
is the love level
cowardly
0.
love level. That's what I'm
Absolutely.
seeing. I'm seeing people are they want to give someone the impression that they've said I love you without saying the
Yeah,
words.
exactly.
And I think that's like a big part of what you navigate in this game is that you want to increase the love levels, you want to have the relationships develop, but you don't want to get caught in something like what Mason gets caught in,
Mm-hmm.
where you have over promised, you have
Mm-hmm.
all eggs before you are guaranteed that the
Yeah.
other person's gonna all eggs you.
This whole 6 episodes was just a travesty of people not understanding how to all eggs, Mason being the worst of them.
Ugh.
But
But
that
that's also a travesty in producing. I'm
oh,
sorry, but like
100%.
them fucking like not getting a single couple out of those four is a producerial fuck up.
100 fucking percent. Also a producerial fuck up is 6 episodes with no leaving of the pods. Now, this is what it says to me. Before we even get into the recap, the specifics of what's going on in the show, they shoot the show again a year prior. They have 1 year to edit all of their footage from the first day in the pods to meeting at the altar and who's going to get married. They have a year to figure out what is this season? What's the story we're telling? They just fucking ate 6 episodes of pod play from many people that I don't think we're even going to see again.
No.
That does not bode well for the rest of the season, in my opinion, because if they had something to play with in the honeymoon phase or the phase where they go and live with each other in apartments back in the city, if they had something to mess with there, that would be the bulk of the season. And generally speaking, that is where the bulk of the season has been in all prior seasons. This ain't good. And again, that episode 4 and 5 were just like filler. They don't resolve any of the love triangles. There were, I think, only one proposal in one of those 2 episodes. I could be wrong about that. So there was no elevation, no escalation, and
Yeah, I
there
think
was
there
no
was a
conclusion.
proposal less couple episodes.
Yeah, exactly. There was. And I just don't think that is a good sign
No.
for what this season is going to bring us. And you have Chris Colin going out front and giving this interview saying like, well, that was where the story was. And we have people all the time, he said in this article, people all the time are like, what happened to the other couples in the pods that didn't wind up getting engaged? Well, this season we decided to show you. And it's like, oh shit. If their best narrative content is following couples that we're never going to see again, that is bad, because what you've done is you've taken away, for example, Monica and Joey, the first couple to get engaged.
Exactly. They should have spent so much more time on Monica and Joey.
Yeah. They disappeared them. After their engagement, you saw maybe 2 lines of dialogue from Joey. You never saw Monica again. They disappeared them. And if that's one of your A couples who are going to wind up together.
Couple.
Yeah. They at least were the first to be presented as proposing. Now, we don't know what the actual order of proposals and all that is. We know that in the pods, everybody has 10 days. That is it, to make your decisions, to resolve your love triangles, whatever the case may be. So we don't know when they actually proposed over the course of that 10 days. We just know that they were presented first, and usually that couple is kind of the A couple, or it's one of them in every season. And the fact that we never saw them again.
It's always for TRR, the first proposal.
Yeah, it's a bad sign that we didn't see them again, because that means they're not important, at least in this part of the edit, which is the first half of the entire season. It's just not well put together.
Also, like, both of those two have more energy than the whole rest of the cast. I'm like, just show us more scenes of them talking about bullshit. Why are we hearing every single conspiracy theory that Meg has? Show me Joey's conspiracy theories.
Indeed. I agree.
Don't get it.
I don't either.
I also thought they would have learned from like Brittany and the art dealer last season of like, don't follow the people that we're not going to follow.
Maybe they come back. I mean, we don't know.
Maybe.
But if they don't, I mean, certainly not all of them come back. Though there were 2 kind of overlapping love triangles with Alex and Madison and Madison and Mason and Mason and Meg. They were all kind of like an interlinked love triangle. All of them get broken up with and dumped, and it all falls apart. So none of those players who had the most screen time of any players in these first 6 episodes, at least at this point, we can't count on any of them coming back. Even if 2 of them come back, even if there's 1 couple salvaged out of that, you've still spent most of your first 6 episodes on people we're never going to see again, or we'll see in the little reunion mixer. Maybe they'll bring them back for that, but I don't know why they would.
We're not even going to see that until after Mexico. Like,
right.
It's so frustrating. I feel like if I were to guess the screen time, I would guess the most would be Madison, and she's not continuing.
Yeah.
Maybe once they get out, they'll have a little. I'm hoping there is some sort of notch down or something post pods, because otherwise, why did they do this to us?
I agree. I think it was just shoddy producing. And look, I'm not saying this means anything in terms of the life of this show of Love Is Blind. It is the biggest reality show on Netflix. It will continue to be that. We will get a season 9 and 10, 11, 12, so on and so forth forever. I just think this is a bump in the road, and I know that they are under a lot of scrutiny because of casting bad guys. I mean, that happens like every season. Somebody has secret kids, or they had a girlfriend before they came in, or whatever the case may be. We're now getting some scandal starting to percolate about multiple players, one of whom is Lauren. She supposedly had a boyfriend before coming in. That's percolating. I don't have the receipts just yet, but it's percolating. The other
I'm
thing
not surprised. She is one of the best players, I think, this season.
Yeah, I agree. Dave is the guy she wound up with, and he is kind of playing the reformed fuckboy archetype. There's stuff percolating about him as well. There's also stuff percolating about Ben, who wound up with Sarah, proposing to her, and she accepted. Ben is a guy
Is that the one who didn't know who George Floyd was?
Yes. Didn't know.
Ugh. I know. This whole season, all the political conversations were so triggering.
Yeah.
As someone who spent a lot of time on the dating apps, and whenever I would see like moderate, I would be like, okay, well, no. Yeah. that really means something else.
Absolutely.
Especially, yeah. And saying you're apolitical, being like, we should all just get along. I'm like, shut the fuck
Yeah,
up. Also, they're in Minnesota.
correct. I
Minneapolis was
know.
burning. We had like
Every major city in
it
the
is
country had protests
horrifying.
that resulted in targets being set on fire and stuff. How you can have no opinion of that or not be aware of it happening is like, I don't get that.
No. It's
Or
unexcusable. It's inexcusable. And like watching that woman just be like, okay, well, fine. We're still going to be a 4 TRR couple. I'm like, it
no,
is
she playing the
horrible to
game though.
watch.
It
Well,
was great to
obviously,
watch for me.
obviously she's playing a game, but
Sarah was like, well, I'm not going to marry this fucking pile of shit, but I got to get to the next round of the game. Let's do it. And she's going to be in the next round. Great play, in my opinion. This is something you have to do in this game. If you get to
I
a
hope that
point,
she just spends the whole time educating him on Black Lives Matter.
she's just wearing Black Lives Matter t-shirts in every scene when they
He
get
said,
something.
like, he said, you don't need to educate me. Don't give me a single fucking book.
That
And I hope
too,
she
yeah.
does. I hope she just like
This
pushes
isn't on you.
him.
Yeah.
Just
You,
tests.
it's
Yeah.
not up to you to educate me. Don't worry about it. I don't even need education, in fact. What I think
I
is
prefer not to educate myself. I prefer to
yeah.
just dancing through life. Da, da, da,
Yeah.
da,
Well,
da.
there's some stuff percolating about Mr. Ben as well, the man who didn't know what Black
Shock.
Lives Matter is. He supposedly has given out business cards to women that he sleeps with that promote his YouTube channel. And he has there's also some allegations that he had some
Wait, why is that bad?
I mean, it's not bad if that's what you're into, I guess.
Oh,
You leave a business card with your YouTube channel on the nightstand after a one
I
night
mean, it's
stand.
like giving your phone number and your
Sure.
Instagram handle.
Yeah, follow me on
I
YouTube.
feel like giving your handle is normal now.
Yeah, I mean, I think having business cards printed with your YouTube channel specifically to give out to women you've had sex with it's another level. It's at a different level.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
there are also some allegations that he was, behaving inappropriately, we shall say, with ladies when he was at Minnesota State. These are all
I
allegations.
thought
These
it was
are
University of
percolating.
Minnesota.
Oh, maybe it was. Some Minnesota college. My apologies. I don't know the details, but these are things that are percolating. These are on the internet. It's starting to gain steam. We'll see where it all goes. But let's talk now about. So
He
we
just
have
hasn't
Monica.
educated himself on women yet. Clues.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need
Give
to
him
educate
grace.
me on women
Give
or
him grace.
yourself. I am. I give full grace.
What
of
is
course.
George Floyd? What is women? I
Yeah.
don't know.
I stay out of gender.
I stay.
Let's talk about. We talked
I'm
about
just
Monica
like,
and Joey.
okay, if you have heard about it, and then you are just like, I see both sides, alive, dead, I see both
Yeah.
sides. Like, great. What?
That's what I said in Clues
I don't
Corner.
understand.
It's like good people on both sides. And we'll get to that as well. There was a thing that Alex did that was like a good people on both sides, which was my error of the season so far. So we've talked about Monica and Joey. We've talked about Ben and Sarah. Let's go to David and Lauren now. David is the reformed fuckboy who works at a cosmetic surgery type place, says that he sees fillers, et cetera, et cetera. He was the guy who came into the pods, every pod pretty much being like, what's wrong with you? Just negging immediately. People don't like this. He's already essentially been identified as the villain of the season by the internet. I think that's only going to get worse. I see nothing good for this couple. And now that there are these possible allegations bubbling that Lauren came into the show with a boyfriend, I don't know if it's true. I am just reading shit on Reddit at this point, and there's again,
It would
no
explain a
receipts for
lot
any
more
of
of
this.
her behavior if she already has a boyfriend.
Yeah,
to me.
I think she's playing the game hard.
Yeah,
And
100%.
They were involved in a love triangle. It was David, Lauren, and Molly, who was the red-haired lady. That love triangle, I really thought Molly was going to win out, but Lauren
I
edged
was
her
shocked
out.
you thought she was going to win. I called every single love triangle who was going to win.
You even called the love triangles that dissipated into
Except-
nothing?
No, I didn't call that.
No
I
winners?
thought Madison and Mason would end up together. I didn't.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess I did too. I thought that too. Or Madison and Alex, once she chose him. We'll get to that. We're coming to it. So I think Dave and Lauren are headed for absolute disaster. I think his reformed fuckboy ways are not going to hold up once they get back to the real world. I think in the pods, anything is possible because you're living in a kind of psychosocial experiment that really strips you of your own identity and forces you to kind of become what the other person wants. I think that is like one of the primary things that sometimes can go wrong in this experiment. When you're sitting on that other side of the wall and that person's like, I love Christmas, you are almost compelled to be like, you know what? I love Christmas too. It's a bad example because that guy may have had a primary knowledge of this. But
I wonder if we've ever run into each other in the past. You
oh
know who
God,
said
we'll
that
get to it.
line?
We'll get to it. Yes, we will get to it.
I
So,
called the Devon and Virginia outcome as well in my head.
oh, 100%. Now let's talk about that. So Devon and Virginia, they were also in a love triangle with Brittany, I believe, right? And
Brittany.
sorry, Brittany. That love triangle starts off strong with introducing us to the idea that basketball, once again, is going to be the primary foundational reason two people like each other. This is what's happening right now in Bachelor Season 29 with Grant Ellis. The first group date was they played fucking basketball, and he's talking about how basketball's his whole life, and he put it dating on hold for basketball, 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 and now it's happening in Love Is Blind.
I mean, they talk about multiple sports, to be fair, but
Do they? Him and Brittany don't. She was a D1.
Virginia dancing and what was the other thing she had? Someone played tennis
Yeah.
and volleyball and soccer.
And
Someone
they're
said
two
that.
baseball guys. Dave and Ben were both college baseball players. But this relationship, the first thing that happens is he's like, I play basketball, you play basketball, I coach basketball, you coach basketball. And they just start talking about their 3-point shots and shit. It's just all basketball. And I think that it is a good initial connection for them, but I think it does put her a little bit in the bro zone for him, you know? And then ultimately he goes for Virginia, who is not in the bro zone. The thing
As
also,
Virginia said, it's too much basketball for one household.
exactly.
Thank you.
She needs some dancing to balance it. However, the big moment that comes in their relationship between Devin and Brittany is when Brittany says she's bisexual. I've had, relationships or at least sexual relationships with women, and that completely shuts him down. I need to think about that.
Error.
Oh
His
my
response,
God, huge error.
error.
Absolutely insane. I don't understand. Like, I guess I get it. Whatever. People still have these kind of like antiquated ideas about sexuality and blah, 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 gender roles, whatever. But
Minneapolis has one of the biggest LGBTQ scenes, by the way.
even if it doesn't, to have no fucking understanding that you are on the biggest reality show on Netflix in the year 2025, even if that's how you feel, you can't put that on fucking tape. What's he doing? This was a giant error for me.
Wild. There were so many errors that we saw by mostly the men this season. This is one of the biggest ones. I think the response to the George Floyd was one of the biggest ones.
Yep.
Also, that guy's response when he was like, "Oh, you have a gay sister? I know people who are like that. I know like the people who are those or something like that." And I was like,
people
"Oh,
who are like
Jesus
that. That is what he
Christ."
said. Exactly. I was just like,
haunting.
as though it was some kind of medical malady to be cured or just put up with in some way, It's absolutely mind-blowing that people are still doing this in this day and age, but it's also like, it's all kind of woven together. And I will say that this is something I like about Love is Blind over Bachelor or any other reality dating format, pretty much. They will go there. They will let these people talk about politics. Abortion was in one season, like real fucking issues, and they'll just put it
Let
out
people
there.
cancel themselves. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think necessarily any people this season anyway have done anything that's like going to get them canceled necessarily, but like these people are not getting good DMs right now, for sure. And it is just mind blowing to me that they still are doing this after everything that has happened in this franchise, everything that's just happened in media at large, that you could still support an attitude like that.
Yeah. And then those people are getting engaged and we're supporting their relationships. I mean, we had the reveal of a player where he told the woman he was bisexual and she didn't react well. The bisexual reveals have not been good in this show so far. I think they need to work on it.
That was in season one.
That was season one?
Yeah,
Oh my
and
God.
that guy waited until the honeymoon phase. They had already been at the resort for a couple of days. I remember that conversation very well. They're out sitting by a pool, and he tells her,
Oh
and it
yeah.
just,
There's a ring
that's
in the
it. That's
pool.
the end, basically, of that, you know. Pretty rough to watch.
Yeah. Um,
Let's move on to Daniel and Taylor. Now, there was no, was there a love triangle with Daniel and Taylor? I don't think so, right? They were always each other's firsts, I think. Daniel is our short king. He is the guy who comes in claiming the only thing you need to know about him is he's 5'8" and he's perfectly fine with that. But he keeps saying it again and again and again. We
he
know this is
says,
a,
"These short bones don't worry me
yeah.
today."
He's, you know, it's, you can tell this is his biggest insecurity. And even there's a point where him and Taylor in the pod's talking about what's your biggest insecurity, and he brings it up. If I remember right, he says something like, well, you know, just like the way I look a little bit has been my thing. He doesn't say it's height related specifically, but we know that's what he's talking about. And then we even get some stuff from Taylor before they do their reveal where she's like, they're asking her point blank, is there anything physically that would like turn you off? And she's like, I don't know. I guess if he's shorter than me, I could just not wear heels. And that is the case. In her heels, she is taller than him. You can see immediately on her face, there's kind of a, what the fuck's going on? During their initial reveal, the kisses are very perfunctory.
Extremely uncomfortable.
Extremely uncomfortable. She's like wiping stuff off his face like a mom would do a little kid. And you can tell something's fucked up here. I thought it was just that she didn't like he was short. We come to realize in the final scene of the 6-episode drop, it's something a little larger than that. We will get to that in a moment. So those are our couples. It's Monica and Joey, who were disappeared after their proposal. We never heard or saw them again. It's
Even
Ben
though
and
Joey has like one of the coolest voices ever, and he's always doing weird shit. He's
yeah.
like flossing while he's STCOing.
He's a reality star. There's no
Yeah,
two ways about it. You need to
exactly.
get
You
Joey up on
betcha.
your cameras more. I mean, I couldn't believe it. The hair, the Hawaiian shirts, the wild voice. It's like, that's your show.
Yes.
He's your fucking show. And they
He
disappear
understood
him.
the assignment.
The other
There's
guys,
not many who did.
no offense to these other guys, they're the same guy.
Yeah.
I have no
I
idea.
could not tell the
telling them-
difference between the guys for so long.
Absolutely. Same. Joey, though, didn't have that problem because of the voice and the hair. He is trying his hardest to be a reality star, and the show won't
He's
let him
Shaggy
do it.
Gingin.
Oh, a little bit. Yeah, I could see that. Shaggy Gin. Nonetheless, we have Ben and Sarah, Monica and Joey, David and Lauren, Devon and Virginia, Daniel and Taylor. Those are our proposals. Now let's get to these love triangles. I want to discuss this Mason, Meg, Madison, Alex, Mason. So Alex is our guy who his PTC was that he was chubby as a kid and bullied, and he had kind of a glow up. He has a little bit of a Harry Jowsian quality about him, I think, at least physically. But his whole deal is basically like, I'm now super evolved. I understand all sides of every argument. And so when Madison finally chooses him over Mason and comes to him and says, well, Mason said some shit that I think he was gaslighting me and he really hurt my feelings because I heard that he told Meg he was going to dump me and that Meg was always his number one, but he told me that, blah, blah, blah. And Alex commits this horrible fucking error where he's like, listen, I get his side of it. He's a nice guy. Cut him some slack. Huh? She just all egged you, dude. At that point, whatever she says is 100% true. You're only supporting her. You believe everything she says, and you want to help her and be there for her. And he doesn't do that. And when he doesn't do that, I'm like, he ain't picking her. This is going to end in disaster.
As soon as she said, I'm an avoidant, there was a whole tone shift in their whole relationship. I thought he wasn't going to propose from that moment on. I was like, oh no, he's had trauma with like avoidant women, and is an anxious person. Like, yeah, but maybe we'll get back together and we'll have a little.
I don't think so.
A little mess later.
Because he wrecked her. He dumped her right there. And you know who also has an avoidant attachment style?
Grant?
Scobby, my cat.
Scobby? No.
I hate it. I fucking hate it. Everything's on his terms. And when he doesn't want to be touched or pet or seen, you ain't going to get him.
Yeah, silent treatment.
It's terrible. So this happens. My apologies for going on a tangent. I just was thinking about avoidant attachment styles and got sad about my cat. So Madison all exes Alex. Alex says, fuck you very much. That then means she's blown up. However, it also means that Madison has to dump Mason in that love triangle. He has already told Madison, you're my number one. She has already told
she
Meg.
extracted that.
Absolutely. But she's already now told Meg, or at least the information has gotten out in the women's side of things, in the women's quarters. So Meg knows that that Mason told Madison he was the number one, or she was the number one, and was going to move forward with her. So now we get this breakup scene between Madison and Mason where she's like, you fucked up, and now you're not going to get either of us. And he's like, oh, he's trying to backpedal. No, what I said to you was, once I said it, I realized that's not, And then Meg walks in and just fucking kicks him in the ball bag. Nope, you ain't notching down to me. Now, that said, I think what Mason did was an error. I think what Meg did was also an error. She should have allowed the notch down so that she could have moved to the next tier of the game. Then you kick him in the balls.
Not accepting this notch down from Mason was my error of the game.
Yeah.
I hated this for her. I mean, I guess it could still happen, but I don't have a lot of hope on a successful notch down later. I think
agree.
she was thinking, like you said in your corner, that she's Jess Vestal and I can ride this thing out without getting a proposal, but you don't have the single mom thing.
Not only do you not have the single mom thing, no offense to any of the players this season.
Yeah.
There ain't nobody on this season who's Jess Vestal. She is, in my opinion, a singular reality television talent that can go into a Love is Blind situation, get dumped in the pods, and still come out of that season with more Instagram followers than anyone, and parlay that into a Perfect Match season 2 run with Harry Jowsey as her partner in that game. You're just not going to see something like that. That's like a once in a decade kind of talent, I feel like.
Yeah.
Nobody this season has that. But I do think that's true, that they've all seen that season, obviously. And they're like, I want that too. I want to walk out of here without a guy and go on Perfect Match.
It was this or Alex not proposing to Madison, basically. Like, I was like, if you have an option to continue to the next round, you do it.
Absolutely.
Like, Meg should have done what my girl Lauren is doing. She's not going to marry this man who doesn't, who's terrible, but she is going to Mexico. She is going to do it, and she's going to get the real victimization play that you can get when you're not a singular talent like Jess Vestal is getting crushed by a loser.
Yes. You want to, if you're going to break up with somebody or you don't intend on marrying them, but you want to get to the next level, you simply do that. And then you can dump at any point. You can manufacture any reason for it that you want ultimately. I just thought this was a massive error. Let me ask you about this. There was something interesting that happened this season between the men and the women. The women were kind of, when they were in the women's quarters, openly sharing data about who their number ones and twos were, and they were kind of putting together who was in the love triangles. The guys never told anybody anything, even down to the point. That was
wild. The guys didn't say anything.
There was even the moment where Alex knew that Madison had chosen him and Mason was still dating her, and he's like, good luck, buddy, like patting him on the back and shit. And it's like,
horrible.
You know he's about to get executed. It was insane.
They literally cheers to his breakup.
Yes. It was absolutely wild. And I just feel like that play was also an error, because even if you're, not doing it to make the game fair, or to like not try to put any kind of pressure on a situation, or to let relationships play out as they will, this is all being shot on TV cameras, and it will be broadcast so that all these people can see you're withholding information or lying or whatever. You have to be playing this game as though it is all being broadcast live. There's no other way to do it. And I think multiple of these players do not understand that, which was mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. What do you think about the decision to talk about it versus keep it quiet?
You have to talk about it. One, because if you keep it secret, if you have secret information like that Alex and Mason thing, for example, he's going to have to answer for that at the reunion, 100%. and it's not gonna, well, I mean, it's a year later. Maybe they don't care anymore. Maybe they're not mad, but it makes you look like shit to the audience, and it fucks up your game because
Yeah.
free sharing of
It messes
information
up your game.
totally messes up your game. You want as much data as you can get at all times. And if that means you also have to share data with other people, so be it. But the more information you have in these situations, the better informed you can be about your decisions and what plays you want to make. To withhold it all is like you're just playing a blind man's game. It makes no sense to me whatsoever.
I mean, Lauren was able to do it because the other player was speaking out so vocally.
Yes,
But it does give her a little bit of a villain edit of
of
like
course.
keeping it to herself.
Yeah.
Um, but
I mean, you just want to know if you're also like if one person is saying the same thing to two people, those two people need to share that information. Now, as a player, that doesn't necessarily mean like in this season it did that they both say fuck you very much. It can mean that you use that as leverage to be like, listen, I heard you're kind of like saying the same thing to both of us. And I think that's bad, but like the connection we formed is real. And I still trust you. I might need a little bit of time for you to like show me that I am the one, but I'm still here for you. You can use that information as leverage to peel the other player off, especially if they're like, fuck this guy. He's saying, he's two-timing
Yeah.
both of us. Great. You flame out. I'll step in. I'll take the proposal. I'll say yes. And now I have that extra leverage over this dude to do whatever I want, basically, in the honeymoon suite. Prove to me that I was your number one.
yeah.
And that's the
Oh
whole
my
narrative.
God, Meg could have been just fed grapes all of Mexico.
Yeah.
He could have been carried around on
Yeah.
his shoulders the whole time. Um, did you have a play of the game?
My play of the game, God, it was all kind of lackluster. I would probably say it was Joey's early proposal, honestly. And it's no fault of his that the producers just fucking erased him from the television program. He played everything right. And I think hopefully in the next phase of this game, he's going to come out as like the shining star of this season.
I think he will.
Yeah. What was yours?
Mine was very minor. My play of the game and my creature of the week was Barelian.
Oh, Jesus, you're right. How could I forget about Beryllian? I almost bought a
Barelian
Beryllian.
was one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah.
And I think that like always bringing a token that can show someone essentially that you're my number one, he can carry that Barelian around if they were sharing information is
Yep.
it's just a great like step you can add to your relationship to like give out a token. It's like giving yourself a rose to give out.
Yeah, it is like a totem, an icon. It's a animal spirit type thing.
Yeah.
But it's
and
so
it can
strange.
become a character in the show.
Oh, we're definitely not seeing the last of Beryllian. I'm assuming they'll go to a Build-A-Bear and he'll have to build his own Beryllian. Oh
I don't know
no,
if
they're
you can
out of the
just
game.
Get a Barelian anywhere. Yeah, they're out.
They're out of the game. You get them. It's Build-A-Bear. You can build a Beryllian right now for yourself on the Build-A-Bear website. I've done it, and then I got to the point where I was going to buy it,
Making
and
an
for some
alien?
reason it wouldn't accept my credit card. Huh?
You built a bear and they wouldn't let you get your bear?
Yeah. No, I built a
that's
Beryllian,
horrible.
or did I build Beryllian?
There
You
was
see-
so much alien talk this season.
I
I was excited for you.
I loved it. It makes me realize that my astral projection is working. I'm having influence
Yeah.
on the media I watch. I'm changing the world that I live in.
Could
let
you
me ask
get
you
it to
this.
be less
Yes.
basketball and have them talk more about like housewives or something?
You know, I will say in the last year, my interest in basketball has skyrocketed, and now it's all over the shows I watch. You tell me. Let me ask you this.
You're like, and I got really into fascism last year. What's going on?
It's all my fault. Enjoy the basketball. Sorry about the
My
fascism.
vision board is all coming true.
That's not true. I'm not into fascism, for the record. And I do know what Black Lives Matter is. Okay, so let's move on here real quick. Let me
Also, my
ask you.
face play was Madison when Mason does an all eggs to her. She goes like that.
Yes, I do remember that. I took a picture of it. I think it was the picture I used for the still frame, the thumbnail of that episode's
Oh, nice.
recap on Clues Corner. My face play of the game was probably Virginia on the reveal when she comes out and Devon is telling her how beautiful she is, and she kind of tilts her head to the side and is like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you,
Thank you.
thank you." Did you notice
She
that?
says thank you 1 million
100
times.
times. I wrote that down. Thank you times 20.
The thank you play is out of control. I hope
Mhm.
she escalates it even further.
Me
This is
too.
her American flag costume.
Yes. I hope her voice gets higher and higher. She did a whole different like
And her
baby
head
voice.
like
Yeah.
turns over so that she's just like curled over in a
It's
bridge by the end
upside
of the
down. It's like
season.
the Cheshire
She's in a
cat just
sea.
spinning. Thank you,
Thank you,
thank you,
thank
thank
you,
you. Just
thank
becomes a
you.
demon out of Jujutsu Kaisen. All right, it was strange. And I think that relationship is doomed by her reaction. I think she is not into him.
Mm,
Let me go
yeah.
on to, though, perhaps the most important moment of the entire 6 episode drop is the final scene where Damn Daniel, the Short King, is called in to the hotel lobby, it looks like, where they're all staying by Taylor, who he has proposed to, she has accepted. And she mentions that he might have, she might have seen him prior to this. He's familiar to her. So she then says in an ITM that she thinks Daniel followed her on Instagram before the show, read her bio, looked at her posts, which had her enthusiasm for Christmas, her love of Taco Bell, the fact that she's an ICU nurse. All these things were in her bio, and she thinks he knew that, identified who she was in the pods, and then used that information essentially to manufacture a bunch of synchronicities and similarities that seemed too good to be true, kismet. So then she confronts him in this hotel, and we get the first piece of this. We cliffhang in the middle of this conversation. I'm sure we'll see how it wraps up in the next conversation. This may be a couple that doesn't make it to the next round because of this. But essentially,
Yeah.
she says, "I think you followed me on Instagram." And he's like, I don't think so. And she's like, "Do you have a picture on your Instagram of you sitting in front of a fireplace with your legs crossed holding a drink, or sitting in front of a Christmas tree with your legs crossed holding a drink?" He's like, "I got a picture sitting in front of a fireplace, but there's no drink." Already wrong answer. What,
Terrible,
dude? Huh?
terrible response.
He's already caught up in arguing the semantics of the accusation instead of denying the accusation. Once that happens,
Yeah.
deceit is afoot. Something weird has happened. And I
Yeah.
don't know if he followed her on Instagram or maybe she saw him on a dating app or something, but clearly there was some parasocial path crossing here, and she's becoming aware of it.
He
Now,
Claire Crawley'd.
oh, interesting. You think it was a Claire Crawley? Well, let me ask you
I
this.
don't know.
There's a couple
There's
of possibilities here.
There
He
are only 400,000 people in Minneapolis.
Right.
I'm not surprised this is happening.
No, but do you think that it's completely coincidental? Here are your
I don't
possibles
know.
that it
I
could
don't
be.
know.
One, the most nefarious is this. He follows her on Instagram. She also said we have friends that are mutual. So maybe they're in like the periphery of each other's social circles. Possible. He knows who she is to some degree, follows her on Instagram. Through those friends, hears, oh, she is applying to be on Love is Blind or even got in.
Yeah.
Decides himself to apply, not telling the producers that he knows who she is, but specifically to follow her in. That's probably the most nefarious. And he does indeed
Yeah.
use all of the information he knows to lay out this grand plan to trick her basically into thinking they have all these similarities. But they do have the similarity. Like the Christmas thing, I looked at his Instagram. It's full of him doing weird Christmas shit.
Yeah.
I think that's
lifestyle.
real. That's one option. Another option is he applied at the same time she did, not knowing that she applied. And this is just a random thing that happened.
Coincidence.
And he didn't put two and two together and he doesn't know who she is. And now it's like, yeah, I guess maybe I followed you on Instagram.
No, you're
That's
just
a
following
possibility.
a random hot girl on Instagram, though. I don't know. It's not looking good.
You don't think guys do that?
No, I know they do.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm
like,
saying they
come
know
on.
who they are. They know who they're following.
Yeah,
He
to some
knows who
degree.
she is.
I mean, yeah, definitely. She's not like an influencer. She
He
doesn't have a
doesn't play
million
off.
Instagram followers.
Well, how many did she have?
Everybody was sub 5K except when this season started, except Kylie, who was over 10K, and she's a forgotten, aka a pod squad. She looked like Natalie Portman a little bit.
you don't follow someone on Instagram if you don't know who they are, or at least like look through their pictures. And he didn't present like, hey, I recognize you at
Yeah,
all.
exactly. That's
So,
that's
and
the
he
key.
should be the one recognizing her because he's the one who stalked her on Instagram and said, I'm going to
Correct.
follow this hot girl. Yeah.
Correct. So that
So
then
that's why I feel like it's somewhat nefarious.
I totally agree. If he really knew it was her, there is a version of this where he did follow her or unfollow her or whatever, did not put two and two together, and was in there clean, basically. Even
The
despite,
unfollow is a red flag.
I agree 100%. And I'm sure she has reels and stuff. I'm sure he's heard her voice. I think it's
Yeah.
nefarious. That's my gut
Yeah.
instinct here is saying I think he
Do
did
they have
this in a
phones at this
nefarious manner.
point?
No.
So that's why they're trying to like piece this together.
Yeah. They don't get their phones back
Then
until
how does
they
she know he
rotate back to the
unfollowed
real
her?
world. Because he said, oh, no, I don't follow you in a very resolute way, which to me means like he understood that if he came in here following her, it would be bad.
Oh, yeah.
And
No,
I
it
think
is
she
nefarious.
kind of got
It's
that quick.
creepy. Oh, I hate
Yeah,
this.
I agree. We're going to get to the bottom of it, but Daniel is also now under massive fire from the internet at large, Reddit included, for this transgression against Love is Blind as a game and this woman, Taylor, who is now having to deal with this insane thing. And so now you also look at this. Is this on the
Yeah,
producers at
like
all?
it feels like they're not protecting her.
I agree. But how could they in this situation? What could
I
producers
don't
have
know.
done to have mitigated this or eliminated the possibility of it? I don't think you can do anything.
I mean, didn't the producers at least look if any of the players are following each other on Instagram?
I would say absolutely not. I would say
I
they
think they
never do
should be
that.
doing that.
But if he's not following her, if he's unfollowed by the time they go in, who the fuck, how could they
By the time they
possibly
go in,
track this?
but when did he unfollow?
Who knows? I mean, that is something they should be doing for sure because
Yes.
it doesn't require a huge amount of effort. A PA can do this in probably 30 minutes, you know. That said, if he unfollowed her, if there is no real trail of him following her on Instagram or whatever, there is no way, I think, for producers to stop a situation like this from happening.
Right. Yeah. Especially just like I don't know, the most nefarious daters in a city, they're gonna date a lot of people and they're gonna get called out. They should be at least trolling the Facebook pages where all the women meet to say who are predators and stuff. They should
Oh,
at
right.
least
Are
have
we
some
dating the
knowledge of
same
that.
guy? That type of shit.
Yeah.
That, I saw some theory on Reddit that said that maybe she saw him in one of those types of websites and it just was like remembering it.
Oh.
I don't know. I
Oh,
mean,
like that she saw him on a dating app or something instead
yeah,
of Instagram.
yeah. And I have to say, from his
I mean,
reaction,
it's possible, but
I just don't think we're ever going to get the real truth of this from him. I think he's
yeah.
going to, what is it? Deny,
Deny,
deflect, depose,
depose. Wait.
whatever it is. Deny, defund, depose. I don't remember what the thing was. All hail Luigi. But
Deny, defend, depose.
yeah, I think he's going to adopt that strategy here. I don't think we'll ever
I
hear
mean, it's the only one you
truth
can
from him.
do if you are him.
No, I totally disagree. I think you go full in on the truth here. I did follow you and I did unfollow you because I thought it would like look bad or whatever. We have some mutual friends and I thought you were cute, but I obviously didn't know you. And now that I do, I've fallen in love with you. Like the fact that I followed you on Instagram should have no bearing on this. And I didn't use like, I do love Christmas. Yes, there are similar things. That's one of the reasons I followed you is because I think we have similarities. I was interested in you.
But then he pretended like he didn't know who she was the whole time.
That's where he fucked up. That's the biggest error. It was like Uche and Lydia. Do you remember that in season, was
Yeah.
that 4 or 5?
Yeah.
They knew each other from outside the pods. And once that information became known, it destroyed basically, at least it destroyed Uche's game. Lydia went on and obviously she was, I think, the only person still married to her guy from that season.
That
Milton.
sounds right.
At any rate, that is our
well,
recap of this
I'm excited
first
to at
massive
least
drop.
watch it through with you, even if it isn't the best Love is Blind season ever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious to see how they position some of these players in the next phase of this. And I am very curious to see what that reunion is like. I hope these players take it over. If you're listening, if you're a player of this current season, your power is at its apex now during the watch
Mm-hmm.
back. You should all collectivize and get together to hold that reunion hostage. You can do whatever you want in it, which includes sitting there and saying nothing if your demands are not met. And your demand should be getting 10 minutes at the beginning of that reunion to discuss forming a reality television performers union, similar
I
to
think
Screen
it
Actors
should
Guild.
be, if I were to pick a couple that I think should head up the union, I would say Joey and Monica should do this.
I agree. But also, let me say this. This doesn't even have to be led by the A couples. If the A couples don't want to do this, everybody who got fucked over by these producers, collectivize yourselves. They're going to have all these love triangle players back on the reunion for sure because they took up so much screen time. If you're one of them and you feel you were maligned by producers or the edit or whatever, get together with the other ones who think that and protest. Say, we will come and sit there and do nothing or just keep repeating, fuck you, Nick Lachey, and make that the only thing you say unless you're given 10 minutes to have your demands met. You can take the reunion hostage here. You have that power. And this is the only time you'll have it. Think about that. Hit me up on a DM if you need some advice.
Unionization has worked before.
Indeed.
It will work again.
But thanks for joining us. We'll be recapping every one of these drops as they come out. There's another one that comes out this Friday. We'll probably have that drop recap out that following Monday, just like this one. We hope you'll come along on this strange ride of what it's just the weirdest season ever so far. Love is Blind
I hope they
season
bring
8.
the Pod Squad back soon. I hope there's something. But it doesn't look like it. I didn't watch
agree.
the promo, but
Neither did I.
thank you for joining us. Praise be Dark Lords Lachey.